Last time on Path of the Titans. Dark's Great Axe, yes! I think it's time we tick off one of our first challenges. And for that, I'm going to be heading over to the giant mole. Welcome back to Path of the Titans. In this episode, we're going to be taking on some of our challenges after getting some big gear upgrades in the first episode. And we're going to be kicking things off with the giant mole. So, to understand my thought process behind how I pick out what objectives we're going to be doing at each boss, the first question I ask is, do we need any specific gear from this boss? For instance, in Barrows, there's plenty of gear we need, so all the objectives are focused around getting that gear. In the case of the giant mole, the item of interest it drops is the Dragon Two-Hander, and while it's not the only boss to drop this, I would rather farm it off of the giant mole than Calphite Queen. It has a very powerful special attack that's likely going to come in handy for us when we get Essence of Finalities later in the series, so let's get a Dragon Two-Hander out the way now. As for the other two objectives, it's time to showcase a couple of other objective types. Starting with kill speed objectives, we're going to go for a 1 minute 40 normal mode mole kill. And then our Dragonstone objective is going to be 50 hard mode kills. While we could do everything else we need to do at mole in normal mode, let's at least give hard mode a fair shake. Before we go and take on the giant mole, let's first figure out what our best consumable options are. So, the best tradable potions are extremes. However, with the recent announcement that overloads are going to require an extreme necromancy potion, extremes are pretty expensive. These are currently in for 40% over and haven't bought. So I'm going to try upping them to 60%, and if not, we'll have to make do with grand potions. So we've ended up with a bit of a mix. We got extreme attacks, but we weren't able to get strengths or defense, and we got grand strengths and grand defense. Hopefully this is good enough so we don't have to gouge ourselves buying extreme strengths. Well, I never thought I'd be making a preset for Giant Mole, but here we are, the first preset of the series. Our initial Giant Mole KC is 4 normal mode and 0 hard mode, so it's going to be nice and easy to check our hard mode KC for that objective, and I've reset the PR so I can track the kill time for the normal mode objective. So the plan is to do a few normal mode KC to just remind myself what this guy does, and then we're going to go for the normal mode kill time objective before starting on the hard mode kill objective. While we're watching me rediscover the giant mole, I had a few questions from last episode that I wanted to go over here. First up is, why am I not buying anything from shops? And the simple answer is that I'm not allowed to use shops or reclaims unless it's to buy a challenge reward or an item that is required to make use of a boss drop, such as the Coral Crossbow. As for why I'm doing it this way, it's so I have a different early game progression to Iron Man. Otherwise I would be wearing Luna and using a God Staff by this point. In addition to that, shops like rune shops would be useful to me, but rune shops are also very profitable to buy from, and I don't want to have to track what I've bought from a shop and can't resell versus what I got as a drop or bought from the Grand Exchange. Next question up is, why didn't I buy an Obsidian Staff for the tier 60 staff option? And that one just comes down to a simple user error. Next up is, what was the armor set that I originally had on at the start of the series? That is the Shadow Dragoon cosmetic set. It's my favorite cosmetic set, but I probably won't be wearing it in-game for the rest of the series because it obscures the actual gear progression too much. And finally, what about smithing? For example, Masterwork armor. So smithing has the same tier limitations as buying off the Grand Exchange, so I can't go buying Elder Rune bars and make my own tier 85 armor. However, later on we will be unlocking the other tier 90 armors that would otherwise be unobtainable via a tier progression, which should roughly line up with when we get access to Sirenic. And I want to quickly thank everyone for all the support shown on the first episode, as well as all the questions that are coming in. The more questions you guys ask early on, the more edge cases that I might have missed that will get brought to my attention, and we can keep the series progressing nice and smoothly. Okay, first kill down, and a bit shaky, but mostly fine, and I'm not going to be using any of these last wills. Obviously, I banned MTX in events, so that's what we're going to be sticking with. So, normal mode doesn't seem to be a problem, but getting the kills quick seems to be annoying, mostly because of the navigating around the room. Okay, a little bit quicker again. It's mostly an issue of movement, but I'm going to rebuff and try and go for the speed kill again. I don't think it's worth using Berserk at any point in this fight, because she's never going to be in the same place for long enough. Ooh, okay. This diagonal one is going to be really difficult because it basically guarantees that I'm going to have to do 2 diagonal runs of the rooms. As alluded to in that clip, there is an element of randomness when going for a more speed kill. The path she takes around the room actually has quite an impact on your final kill time. So we're ideally looking for her to do either a fully clockwise or fully anti-clockwise pattern of movement around the room. This gives us the best chance of having a close to 140 kill time. The winding tunnels make it really hard to make good use out of dive and surge here. I should probably be anticipating that rather than using freedom after the fact, but... Oh, and we've got another diagonal movement again. So with a diagonal movement, it's probably going to be pretty hard to actually get the time. Yeah, like going diagonal across the room already takes like 15 minutes, and I think it guarantees that you get 2 diagonal movements. So there's definitely some splashing going on. So tier 70 isn't the be-all end-all for accuracy here, which is one area we could improve. We do actually have access to a tier 80 weapon at this stage. It's just not going to be particularly easy to get hold of. Well, that is a PR, but it's not quite close enough to our goal. It's almost like I need it to do a perfect, like, counterclockwise or clockwise loop. It probably doesn't help that I'm not always starting with 100% adrenaline because of not having any archaeology relics. Well, this is a good start. Ah, diagonal. That's a shame. Okay, we got it under 2 minutes. I'm going to see if, with a stop-off at War's Retreat to fill up our adrenaline to max, I'm going to see if that's enough to get us that sub 140 that we need. Okay, not an ideal route necessarily, but also not too bad. The route from middle to the here is actually quite nice. Whoever put these mushrooms here completely ruins the surge pathing. Come on. Can make this. Oh, he's not moving over to me this time. Okay, well, we know where he's going last. Why don't I have double surge? Please don't tell me I'm going to have to farm 70 mil for double surge in order to do this. Come on. We can get him. We can get it. It is a she, I'm pretty sure. No, the defenses are up because of the minions. Oh, well, we're getting comboed with mechanics. Oh, it's going to be just over 150. Okay. That was a PR, but we're still 12 seconds. 12 seconds off of our target. Let's refresh. Let's refresh our adrenaline and try that one more time. Again, I just don't think Berserk is worth using, but I'm not actually opposed to giving it a shot. It only has a 20-second duration. That's not going to be particularly helpful. Okay, not the best initial direction, but we can work with this. Man, if I had mobile alone would make a huge difference here. Again, about a 150. Okay. I think for now, we're just going to go tackle hard mode and see how that goes. I think this is definitely doable with this setup. I'm just really hoping I don't end up needing double surge for it. So before we kick off with hard mode more, let's take a quick recap of where we are. We currently have a PR of 152 and we're aiming for 140. This is only a 12-second decrease. However, 12 seconds is actually quite a lot of time once you've already made your first few optimizations. So I decided to take a small break to work on some other objectives while I let my brain digest everything we had just learned in the last hour. This way I can come up with the right approaches to tackle stuff like movement, rotation, and potential gear improvements. Okay, it's time to start a hard mode instance. I've never done hard mode so this could go disastrously. I have no idea what's different compared to normal mode. But I'm going in blind because that's more fun. Okay, we're going straight for ads. So save our big AoE thresholds for the ads. Oh, okay, the ads still have the same amount of health. So far, I'm somewhat underwhelmed by this as a hard mode. Well, I was expecting slightly more from hard mode. There we go, our first hard mode KC. So our objective is to get 50 hard mode KC. And since we want the Dragon Two-Hander anyway, I think going for the Dragon Two-Hander in hard mode is the way to go. So I'm going to get a few more hard mode KCs, see how this goes. This will, I guess, help us practice a bit more with going for the kill time requirement. Okay, so it seems in hard mode, every ability is just slightly augmented in some way. It's not a huge difference compared to normal mode, but there are actual changes, which is nice to see. So, in terms of loot, I don't think the loot from hard mode is particularly better than normal mode. However, it does have a better chance of the pet, and I believe a better chance of the Dragon Two-Hander. Wow, that is a combo. So it seems like Anticipate and Freedom don't work on the stun in hard mode. So I need to look up how to deal with that, because it looks like you're supposed to be freed by another player, but in other mechanics like that, Freedom usually helps. Okay, so just looked it up. In hard mode, the stun is not a stun anymore. It's just a trapped in mud effect, which is unique to the boss, where either another player needs to free you or the mole needs to hit you, which does a bunch of damage. If the mole just chains it into another special attack, then you're kind of just stuck there for 6 seconds. That's quite painful. It also prevents you from eating or doing anything like that. You can still drink potions, but I guess I'll have to take Ceradoban Brews for when that happens. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we could shave off 12 seconds if we just kept going on the mole on repeat with our current setup. Maybe a bit more power gear like a dragon helm and a dragon plate body would help. We can't buy a dragon chain because that's a drop from the Cowfight Queen and is in her collection log. But the dragon plate body isn't. So we could buy that. If we went for a full melee power armor setup, that would probably be the thing that pushes us over the edge. So we actually need quite a bit of money for that, I believe, because the Dragon Plate Body is 3.6 mil. We only have 2 mil to our name right now, but with the price of some of the Barrows pieces, we could easily get this money together. So I think I'm actually going to go for this instead of just sticking with the Rock Shell Plate. And then I'll try and see if we can get some Dragon Gauntlets, but I think those are a reward from Fist of Guthix, and not many people do that minigame, so I'm not expecting those to be particularly easy to buy. With a full melee power armor setup, we should have a much better time getting the speed kill. But we do need to make some money first, so I'm going to change gears and go back to Barrows and try and take on Linza with our Darok's Great Axe. I don't know if she's going to be particularly doable with a tier 70, however, her weapon is a tier 80 main hand. If we can get hold of that, that's the best weapon we have for quite a while. Okay, Dragon Gauntlets ended up running us 200k, which, to be fair, they're not that much better than Rock Shell Gloves, so I maybe wasted some money here, but it's going to make us look a little bit better when it's all red. Okay, I'm not sure why, but the mole skin seemed to sell for over quadruple what it was valued at on the GE, and the mole claws double. Maybe the mole is a pretty good way to make some starter money after all. Okay, so the reason why Linza is going to be a challenge is because as well as being much higher defense than the other brothers, she also reflects damage every time you hit her, and I'm not really going to be able to get away with not using all my thresholds, so I'm going to have to put bleeds on her, as well as just bleed basics. However, this actually looks reasonably doable. Now, there are a few ways to farm Linza. You either do Linza as part of a full run, which is probably something we can do and maybe should do, because many of the other Barrows pieces are still useful to us. Or if you are only interested in getting the most amount of Linza kills, you can actually just kill Linza and then skip all the other brothers while you try and find the crypt, because she drops her pieces separately from the other brothers. Each one of her drops is a 1 in 960 if you kill her and loot the chest. Doesn't matter how many other brothers you kill. So if we just want Linza's hammer and nothing else, then the play is to just kill Linza over and over again and not worry about any of the brothers. That's the quickest way to do that. Okay, that's Linza down. Let's try and take on Aram. I think I'm going to do her as part of a full run here. Oh, I don't actually have a magic weapon. Maybe let's see if I can even take on the melee brothers with a melee weapon first. I don't know how the defenses are going to be. Ooh. Helps if I pray the right thing. Seems to be okay as long as I don't pray the wrong thing and almost get one shot. So given how long it takes to kill Linza at the moment, it's probably worth doing full runs for a while we get the gold for all of our power armor. And then we can swap to doing Linza only runs either when we get the other items we need from Barrows, which is the Aram's staff or wand, or a Carol's crossbow, because then we have access to tier 70 and other styles. Might have some luck using a range style to chase them all around per room. I'm still not going to bother killing Accuracy. He's not worth it in my opinion. Thanks to a very helpful viewer in my stream yesterday, I actually now know that Accuracy is worth killing even if you aren't hunting Accuracy pieces. While the chest does cap out at 7 rolls, which you get by killing 6 brothers excluding Linza, the chance to land on the Barrow's equipment table is significantly increased per roll by killing Accuracy. So much so that even if you're not interested in an Accuracy piece, you've still got a better chance of getting an Aram's piece, for instance, by killing Accuracy. This is all pretty well documented on the wiki, but I misunderstood the numbers a bit and decided that because Accuracy didn't add another roll, he wasn't worth killing, which was incorrect. Hey, we got the Aram's hood back. Okay, now we definitely have our Aram's hood. So it turns out that interface closes when you leave combat, which means if you rush, surge over to it, and then leave combat while you're looking at it, it can close as you press bank and you lose your Aram's hood, is what happened to me. Hopefully that doesn't happen to anyone else. Unfortunately, that means we've had 2 Aram's items now, and neither have been a weapon. And ooh, a lot of money. And food-wise, we're kind of fine. Yeah, I am very happy adding Linza to our Barrows runs now. So, with how this has been going, I think the plan is add Linza to normal Barrow runs for a while. She's going to make them take a bit longer, which is one downside. However, we still need to get ranged and magic weapons anyway. This means if we happen to get Linza pieces, then it's a bonus. And if we get all the other stuff we need from Barrows and we still don't have a Linza hammer, we can just swap over to doing Linza only runs. Be careful of your health at Linza. If you put a couple of bleeds on her, you'll very quickly start ticking down to the reflect. Especially if you put 2 bleeds on her and then do a channel. That's gonna hurt. So, as I mentioned before, Linza's hammer is a 1 in 960 drop, which means I'm gonna need to do a lot of Linza runs. That also means that this series is going to be quite grindy, and honestly, it's never going to stop being grindy. Especially some of the newer bosses, they have incredibly low drop rates of some incredibly powerful items. For those interested, we are going to be streaming the grindier sections of this over on Twitch or YouTube. I haven't yet committed to either platform as a streaming platform. I'm currently leaning mostly towards Twitch just because it seems to have the most friendly user experience for streaming. However, if you have any opinion either way, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, let's see what's in the chest. It is a load of money. A load of money. I think we might actually have enough to pick up a Dragonplate Body now, so let's go try and do that. Selling most of our valuable loot, we're up to just shy of 3 mil. Well, back we go. And yes, while I'd love to sell the Aram's hood and just be done with it, we're actually probably going to need Aram's armor later on. So that's going to be staying in the bank for quite a while. Okay. How is it worse? How do these chests keep getting worse? Okay, what's the chest? This one's better. This one's better. And after selling everything off, we're up to 3.6k, so we can now attempt to buy a Dragonplate Body. Let's do another Barrows run, leave that to slow by, and build up some more gold to buy some supplies. So let's up the offer on the Dragonplate to just over 4 mil, and there we go. 3.75 mil, but we now have tier 60 power armor. Now, a weird thing that's actually happened is the Dragon Medium Helm, I believe, has the same stats as the Dragon Full Helm now. So it's only visually different. So that means we are now kitted out in full tier 60 power armor. The plan is to go back to Mole, and we're going to get that 140 time, but I've also got another trick up my sleeve. Weapon poison plus plus plus. This is a pretty standard consumable, so we're just going to be picking up a few of them. The Mole is poisonable. For some reason, I assumed he was like the God Wars 1 bosses, and where he was an older boss, he was just made poison immune to keep it consistent with how it used to be. I don't know why all the God Wars 1 bosses are poison immune, to be honest. I just assume that's why it is. But no, the giant mole is poisonable, so the power armor plus the weapon poison should give us quite a big benefit. Okay, we got 15 seconds to get back to the middle. Oh, I don't think it's happening. That dive didn't take me far enough. Nope, not happening. We got a 148, but that was not quite enough. We're getting there, though. Only 8 seconds. Well, 8.6. That's a whole tick more, actually. But only 8.6 seconds to shave off at this point. Yeah, like, sometimes the mole walks towards you. Like, it stays in combat with you and keeps trying to chase you. I think if you have a bleed on it. Like, here. The poison tick actually made it walk towards me, I think. Okay, we got 20 seconds and we're right next to the middle. Come on, this has got to be it. Come on. No! 140.8. We were 2 ticks off. I think that was because I cancelled my cute ability as well when I got stunned. So close. Man, I never thought going for a mole speed kill in terrible gear would be so tense. So with the 140.8, I now knew for 100% certain that this was doable. I just needed to clean up my game. So I kept pushing and pushing, and it ended up with this run. Come on. Come on. Please don't let that spec have ruined it. Yes! We got it! Sub 140 giant mole with the Darrock's Great Axe and Dragon Armor with tradable potions. And I didn't even get to use all the extremes. That is our first objective complete. That is the diamond objective for the giant mole done. The Dragonstone one is to kill 50 hard mode, so that's going to be coming up next, but I think I'm going to make that some stream content. So for now, let's pick up with the KBD. There's a whole nother set of challenges awaiting us at the KBD, but that'll be coming next time. For now, thank you very much for watching. If you got to this part of the video, I'm going to assume you liked it. If so, you know what to do, and I hope you all have a wonderful week.